Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida arrived in Washington on Monday, becoming the first Japanese leader to make a state visit to the United States in 9 years. During his visit, Kishida will hold a bilateral summit with US President Joe Biden. He will also address a joint meeting of Congress on Thursday. Kishida will be the second Japanese leader to address the joint meeting of Congress after his predecessor Shinzo Abe gave a speech in 2015. Kishida will also join a first-ever summit of the US, Japanese and Philippine leaders in Washington. All right, let's go across to DD India's Laura Westbrook. She is joining us live from Hong Kong. Laura, Fumio Kishida is the first Japanese leader to make a state visit since Shinzo Abe in 2015. Tell us what's expected from the visit and also the significance.
Yes, the US says this is all about strengthening ties with Japan and showcasing Japan's global leadership role. The US and Japan are also expected to announce the biggest upgrade in their military alliance since 1960. The US is expected to restructure its military command in Japan. The US has some 50,000 troops in Japan. And being a state visit, there will also be a state dinner of around 200 guests. And that will also give a chance for Kishida to boost his popularity at home. As you mentioned, he will be addressing Congress, being the first leader to do so since 2015. And that really is going to be a chance for him to address both sides of the aisle ahead of a US presidential election in November. He's likely to talk about how Japan is a global partner of the US and that Japan is willing to take a bigger role in issues like defense, security, and space. And he's expected to also go to North Carolina, where he will be visiting some Japanese countries there and trying to drum up some investment. So a very busy trip.
Very busy trip. But Laura, will this meeting be successful in deterring China in the region?
Yeah, there is growing concern about China, Russia, and North Korea, which is why defense and security is being featured so highly in this summit. For Japan, peace in Taiwan is also an issue that it says that is essential to national security. China claims Taiwan as its own territory and doesn't rule out taking it by force if necessary. There is also concern about China growing closer to Russia amidst the war with Ukraine. And Japan also has talked about its concern. It looks at Japan looks at China's growing military activities as a top security threat as well. And this visit also culminates in the first ever trilateral summit between Japan, US, and the Philippines. And that is also showcasing support for the Philippines amid growing tensions in the South China Sea. We've seen recently clashes between the Philippines and China when the Philippines have sent in resupply missions to its forces, clashing with Chinese vessels in the South China Sea. This is such an important maritime sea lanes, and Japan and other parts of the world are dependent on those sea lanes being open. So it really is also in Japan's interest to keep those sea lanes open as well.
Laura, also in the schedule of Fumio Kishida will hold a bilateral summit also with US President Joe Biden. Tell us what are the summit's main issues?
Well, as I said, the big focus is security and defense. They will be announcing that big upgrade to the security alliance since 1960, and that is all around looking at the growing, expanding influence of China in the Indo-Pacific region. And with the Philippines also joining this trilateral summit on Thursday, that also is showing that the focus of these countries is really trying to combat what they see as an expanding influence of China in the region.
All right, Laura, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your views.